Um. This is waiting for George. Waiting for you. Yeah. Fix your OBS. Oh! I hear myself, I hate it. I just have a black screen now. Black screen. I don't know, fix your OBS. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
30 seconds.
I just have a black screen. You're a joke? Wow. Guys on it, on me. Are all? Is everybody? How many do you... Wait. Go to the my final. I gotta read that because that sounds. Wait. This is me! I think this is me. It might have been me. I think this was... I don't know. That one is memorable to me. It sounds like something I did before, because I did something like that, if that's not it. I don't remember what I did, but I know I something super useless.
Calorie intake recommended. Vital signs stabilizing.
I am still watching, but I'm not like looking at my phone.
Can't stop.
What are you on about? Oh, you're you're using cheats.
I need some filtered water that could give me.
Sorry for that dry water. I gotta look at my Subnautica PlayStation 4 saves and check. What? You can, I always saved before Like when. I don't like your CMOS, that's why. Yeah. How do you do it? Like, yeah, I would go look up the. Don't ask the person back there. I only know. Why did I need Ruby again? I know I need Arrow. Oh, I'm watching. Why is it gel sack and Ruby to make aerogel?
Yeah, I need help.
God, it's lagging on. It's your stream completely froze. Oh, it's going again.
What?
I think you just like choose the victor.
Yeah.
How have you not died from the explosion? Dude, look at. Can you like pick up those cards? Infinite titanium. You might have destroyed it. You should spawn a Cyclops in. What does what mean?
Is it?
What? Delay.
What am I supposed to do?
You might want to drop it. You haven't dropped it yet. You're.
It's not like a second.
Why'd you quit? So. What do you mean? Oh, I'm dead. You be tripping. Here comes the bride. Forefathers, one and all, bear witness. Is that, well, what's the, in your opinion, what's the quote? Yeah, from Elden Ring. Dude, you know the forefather. Forefathers, one and all, bear witness. And then he strikes the ground. Dude, it's... Oh, did you end the stream? Okay, what's your favorite quote? Or, what's the hardest... What is the hardest quote you know? Why do you gotta go find a... women?
Welcome aboard, Captain.
4, 5, 1. P5 phone? You made it?
Just tell me what the fuck.
Big. Boom, boom. Boom.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency
Welcome aboard,
decreased.
Captain.
Passing 200 meters. Oxygen efficiency greatly decreased. Calorie intake recommended.
Hello my friends and welcome to another video. Today is going to be a little different as usual. I have already put out an amazing helping tool for modding games, not just from the Nexus Mods website. At the start, Vortex will ask you if you should let it call Nautica. So in the bottom right, you can click Scan for Games, which will
Aquariums provide an ideal opportunity to study alien fauna up close. Select carefully which life forms you bring on board. They may also be studying you.
I would believe that. Yeah. Can't you just say what? Don't you have an Apple? Why don't you? Okay, I don't need that.
It will automatically scan for any games that you have installed on your computer which do fit into, well, this long list. This will ask you to specify a path. For me, it automatically detects Steam, but you might need to choose a different disk if you have your games installed somewhere else. Yeah, and Subnautica Below Zero. If a game hasn't been found, you can still click on Right Hand Manage. If this is the case, you will have to navigate, in most cases specifically in the bottom store. I will get a little bit, Subnautica will appear in your managed game. Either way, you should be able to click Manage, and after a little bit, Subnautica will appear in your managed games. Now, of course, we get a nice handy pop-up here saying the QMod Manager is not installed. So why don't we click on Get QMod Manager. Now, the QMod Manager is something exclusive to Subnautica that you will need, and it's essentially just a framework for loading mods. It's something you can't really use mods without, so why don't we get it? On the right side, you can see the Vortex button under Download. If this button doesn't show up, make sure you're actually logged in. Now that we have the Vortex tool, we can click it. This will again prompt us with a download page. There is no need to go premium, you can just pick slow download. And then you will get a prompt such as this to open Vortex, or it might happen automatically. You can click open Vortex, and now nothing happens, but if you select Vortex, if you were to click on downloads, I'm a little slow, you would see that the download is finished. And in fact, we even have that information here in the notifications. The download has been finished for QMod Manager 4.3.0. Now, of course, we can now click on the install button here, but if you wanted to view it, you can also go into the mods, and it would now show up here as the QMod Manager as never installed. Now, of course, we need it to be installed to be able to run other mods, so you're going to click on the down arrow and click enabled. After a little bit of installing, it should be finished, and it will prompt you saying deployment requires elevation right here. Now, in order to do this, you're just going to click on the elevate button, and there you go. All notifications should be cleared, the mod should be enabled, and we should be good to go. Now, as you can see, if Subnautica is being properly managed, it should show up in the top left corner as it does now. And there's actually a very quick way to test whether this worked. You simply click on this arrow, which will open the game, and you can navigate into the options, and there should now be a separate tab right here. Now, in order to do this, you're just going to click on the elevate button, and there you go. All notifications should be cleared, the mod should be enabled, and we should be good to go. Now, as you can see, if Subnautica is being properly managed, it should show up in the top left corner as it does now. And there's actually a very quick way to test whether this worked. You simply click on this arrow, which will open the game, and you can navigate into the options, and there should now be a separate tab for mod. If it's not there, something must have gone.
This is Life Pod 4. We've landed close to the Aurora. Flotation device is active, but we've got some big old fish in the water with us. I don't know how long we're going to last. We're close to the crash site, so bring radiation protection. 4 out.
Signal coordinates corrupted. Approximate transmission. Signal coordinates corrupted. Approximate transmission origin recorded to data bank.
Hmm. 4. Oh, is that what you were doing? Sure. God, what,
Passing
I only got-
100 meters.
I only have.
Oxygen
Chat, what?
efficiency decreased.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Passing
The home.
200 meters. Oxygen efficiency greatly decreased.
dude. What? Heard what?
I heard a. Yes.
What's the stern say? Aurora.
Wrong, and I will talk about the troubleshooting towards the end of the video. Now that we have the QMod manager installed, just a couple more things about the Vortex tool. On the left side you can navigate to the settings page, where you can select things such as where do you want your mods to download, at what speed if you want to limit the bandwidth, or whether you want it to handle Nexus mod downloads or not. Of course you can also go premium if you would want unlimited download speeds, but I've never really done this myself, and for the rest of it I will let you explore the settings. Why don't we just go get some mods? So returning to our map mod from earlier, everything is ready, the Vortex tool is open, and we are logged in both on the website and on the tool. Now to download the mod, we have to click on the Vortex button. However, as you can see, we're prompted with additional files required. Certain mods will require additional files to be able to properly function on your PC.
What?
As you can see, the map mod only requires QMod Manager, which we just installed, so there is no problem downloading it. We can click on slow download. This is also where you can donate to the author if you really enjoyed their work. And if we open the Vortex tool and look into mods, you can now see that the map-Subnautica mod has been downloaded. Now to install it, you simply click on the down arrow and click enable. Once again, you'll be prompted that deployment requires elevation. You can click on the elevate button and everything should be good to go. You can again launch the game to check if everything is working. Now I also picked the Moonpool vehicle repair to demonstrate something, because here if we click the download, you can see that suddenly there are actually more mods required to make it work. In this section, you can sometimes occasionally see mods that the author recommends you use, but aren't strictly required. In this case, SML Helper is also required to get this to work, so why don't we click on it and get it first. The same way as with the map mod, we can click on the Vortex button, and yet again we're prompted with additional files required, this time the version checker mod. As you can see, this can become quite the rabbit hole. Either way, once you have downloaded all of those, you would be able to get Moonpool vehicle repair, and presumably it would work just fine. Now when looking at the actual mod page, this will not only list things that the mod requires, but also other mods that require this mod to properly function. And oftentimes, especially with these larger, more popular mods, you're also going to see installation instructions. Now these instructions are for manual installation, which, let's talk about that. Now I very strongly recommend the Vortex tool for managing your mods. Not only does it keep the installation folders clean, but it also allows you to remove them super easily with the click of one button. If you wanted to install the files strictly manually, you could, just as the instructions on this one say, simply download the archive and extract it into your Subnautica folder. However, this is very messy and will make removing the mod later in the future quite difficult, unless your naming is on point. But what about something like the resource monitor? I mean, it only requires the SML helper and the QMod manager, so not very difficult to get, but where is the Vortex button? Now some mods simply won't have this, and the manual button will be the only one made available to you, but worry not, we can still use Vortex. First you're going to click on the manual download, you're going to be prompted about what the mod needs, and you're going to click download. Of course, as per usual, we're going to click on slow, but now as opposed to Vortex, you will simply be asked where you want to save this file. I recommend somewhere in your games folder or on the drive where you have your games, and click save. This will download a .rar file which is by itself compressed, and if you use something like WinRAR or 7-zip, you would be able to unpack it, but we don't really have to right now. Instead, this is when you're going to go into Vortex, and you're going to navigate to up here, and you'll click install from file. This will open the Explorer, and here you can navigate to where you downloaded the mod, select it, and click open. Vortex will now do all the fun stuff for you, and boom, there it is. You can click on the down arrow and enable the mod. Now, that is effectively it for how you install mods for Subnautica. So now let's do a bit of a frequently asked questions
I see what you
where I will try to answer some of the most common comments I got on the original tutorial video. Can mods be used on consoles?
You're in these stars right now.
Without tampering with the original operating system of the console, I don't know of any way to use Nexus mods with the Vortex tool on Xbox, PlayStation, or the Switch, so unfortunately, no. Does this work if I run the game from the Epic Games Store or the Microsoft Store? It does indeed. However, for both of these tools, the install folder will be a little different than for Steam. For the Epic Games Store, this will be a little simpler. You will simply have to navigate to either the default install path, which kind of looks like this, or wherever you set your custom path. That's where you'll be able to find the game's .exe file, but then when you click set the game folder manually, you will simply have to navigate to that folder. Now for the Microsoft Store, this will be a little bit trickier, since you will have to navigate through a few hoops to actually make the folder visible in your Explorer. Luckily, googling where does Microsoft Store save games, or finding out how to view the install folder will usually yield a reliable answer. Finally, for a little bit of bug testing, what do you do if you go through all of the steps, you open Subnautica, and it just doesn't seem like the mod tab is there, it doesn't seem like anything happened, and it doesn't seem like it's working? Well, there are several things you really need to check first. Now sometimes, even though Subnautica might appear managed, Vortex might actually have the incorrect path to it, so click on this little plus icon to view the details and make sure that the path to the game is actually correct. Additionally, though it has yet to happen to me, it is possible that QMod Manager might have simply encountered an error while installing, so removing it and then reinstalling it can often solve the issue. Finally, and this has happened to me on several occasions with people that messaged me, if you have an unofficial version of Subnautica, i.e. downloaded and cracked, there is no guarantee that this will work even if you take all of the steps correctly. If that is your case and you're running into trouble, I'm sorry, but there isn't really much you can do besides just getting the official version of the game. Anyways, that is it for this video, so I hope you guys found it helpful, and we'll have a lot of fun breaking your Subnautica by adding a copious amount of mods. As always, remember that mods are something the developers did not intend to be in the game, so if something seemingly doesn't work, or it makes your game crash, well, that's kind of a part of the fun, so you always have to find ways to figure out which mods might be conflicting, and which ones might just not work at all. Yes, that happens too. If you enjoyed this video, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. Please let me know down in the comments which mod configurations you're going to be running. I'm genuinely curious. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a beautiful rest of
I see.
today, and I'll see you in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.
Emergency. Starvation imminent. Seek calorie intake immediately.
Father was right. We shouldn't have gone so deep.
I go fast. I go fast.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Yeah.
What's it doing? It's just floating.
Yeah, but instead you're doing. You know, it says it's sunk. It's 174 meters down. Dude, I found Markiplier.
Stabilizing.
Yo.
Integrating new PDA data.
Now I am. You're dropping a bunch of cooked paper.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
What's your opinion on Eddie Murphy?
Welcome aboard, Captain. Warning, emergency power only.
Hmm. What do you mean?
There's a living entity feeding off.
Vital signs stabilizing.
We're gonna have retro to this mess. Creatures are.
Anyways, how do I get
Warning, emergency power only. Oxygen production offline.
Oh, the filtration machine sucks. What? Dude, it's sucking my power.
Primary systems online.
I can't even stop it. I can't stop it.
What the fuck is here?
How do I stop the water? Stop it.
Vital signs stabilizing. Hull integrity restored. Draining systems initiated.
The cuttlefish die? I'm gonna play For Honor with Cameron for what? We're not doing nothing. Hell, no, but like putting him off a while. What?
Well, let's take a look and see what family we've got this week.
I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John.
Inside the worst nuclear disaster of the century. 1 year later, men who risked their lives to
George.
save the Fukushima nuclear plant.
How long are you gonna be on? Do you know how much longer? Okay. What? Because I am gonna go play with Cameron, and we'll probably get done before 12 o'clock your time, but who knows, because... Okay. My bad.
Reveal what really happened.
We never imagined we'd be sent there. I was praying.
The life and death decisions.
This would affect not just Japan, but the world.
The lives upended by radioactive fallout.
I had one daughter left. I had to protect her.
And the courage.
We did it. We did it for everyone.
The story of those tense days inside Japan's nuclear meltdown.
On March 11th, there was a relaxed atmosphere at work. I was at my computer writing reports. Before that day, we'd had a few earthquakes, around magnitude 4. Then I think it was about 2:46 p.m. I felt an incredible rumbling in the earth. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced.
The earthquake that shook the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant was the most powerful to strike Japan since records began. The company that operates the plant, TEPCO, has forbidden its workers from speaking publicly about what followed. But 1 year on, they are starting to tell their stories. Some have asked for their identities to be hidden for fear of being fired.
I saw all the pipes fixed to the wall, shifting and ripping off.
It was getting stronger and stronger. This was no ordinary quake.
We were all on our knees, holding onto the railings. Then the power was cut.
The workers stayed calm because they knew Japanese power plants are designed to withstand earthquakes. The reactors automatically shut down within seconds. But the high radioactivity of nuclear fuel rods means they generate intense heat even after a shutdown. So backup generators kicked in to power the cooling systems and stop the fuel rods from melting. Takashi Sato is a reactor inspector who no longer works at the plant.
I wasn't worried about the condition of the plant. I'd always thought nuclear power was safe. But in the end, the plant wasn't safe, was it?
Just up the coast, the fishermen of Fukushima knew what was coming next.
It's always been said on the shore, the tsunami will follow the earthquake. I went straight to the harbor and headed out to sea.
Yashio Ichida wanted to save his boat. He was racing straight into the biggest tsunami waves to strike Japan in hundreds of years, hoping to crest them before they broke.
They were like mountains. We went over 3 waves that came directly from the east. They were about 15 meters high. It was like this.
The biggest of the waves was more than 40 feet high and traveling at over 100 miles an hour.
When I looked back to shore, there was a strange ocean mist. I knew something bad was happening.
At the nuclear plant, a worker was filming as his co-workers fled to higher ground. At 3:35 p.m., the biggest of the waves struck. It was more than twice the height of the plant's seawall. It's now known that TEPCO had been warned by a government committee of scientists in 2009 that its tsunami defenses were inadequate. The company says it was still reviewing the matter when the disaster happened. Now, the tsunami flooded the nuclear plant.
The port area was trashed. I felt something incredible had happened.
This man is a senior nuclear engineer who still works at the plant.
Cars had been left everywhere by the wave. Buildings and 5,000-ton fuel tanks were sucked out to sea. I watched them slowly sinking.
Most of the backup diesel generators needed to power the cooling systems were located in basements. They were destroyed by the tsunami waters, meaning the workers had no way of keeping the nuclear fuel from melting.
When I heard the diesel generators were lost, I couldn't square that with reality. I was stunned.
This is the frantically scribbled log the engineers kept on a whiteboard in the control room as the nuclear plant slid towards disaster. 1542, nuclear emergency declared. 1558, loss of water level readings. 1636, emergency core cooling system malfunction. No water can be injected. TEPCO turned down Frontline's request for interviews with plant workers, but put forward the managing director of its nuclear division. He acknowledged the company had never imagined that one of their nuclear plants could lose all power.
今までの私があるいは我々が考えてた部分をかなり超えた領域に入ってますので、対応そのものがあるいはその対策を取るということについてはかなり限定された手段になるだろうということはかなり直感しました。
In the 90 minutes since the tsunami, Japan's government had been scrambling to deal with one of the biggest natural disasters in the country's history. Now, the Prime Minister was informed that the cooling systems had failed at Fukushima.
大変深刻なことになると、非常にその強い危機感をその報告を受けた時に持ちました。急なお呼びかけ、地震、津波、 それ自体も大変な被害でしたし、さらにそれに原発事故が重なりましたから、そのままにしておくとですね、水がなくなってメルトダウンすると、そういうことは私、分かってましたので、非常に背筋が寒くなるような気がしました。
The Prime Minister asked to be kept informed of what was happening in Fukushima. But for now, the executives at TEPCO headquarters in Tokyo were in charge of tackling the nuclear emergency. Two hours had passed since the tsunami. The coastline was devastated. Around 20,000 people were dead or missing.
All systems online.
Norio Kimura, a farmer from Fukushima, lived just 2 miles from the nuclear plant. He'd been out working when the wave struck. Now he was searching for his family. Survivors were gathering at the local sports center, unaware of the unfolding nuclear crisis.
Many people had gathered. I was told 3 of my family were missing. I felt cold, like my blood was being drained.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Norio's father was missing. So was his wife. And his youngest daughter, Yuna.
All systems online.
I just couldn't accept that the tsunami might have killed them. I started searching in the rubble, not just around my house, but the whole village.
As night fell, the Japanese government ordered an evacuation of everyone within 2 miles of Fukushima Daiichi. But Norio and others ignored the order and kept searching for their families. Just along the coast, the nuclear plant was still without power. The workers had no functioning instruments to reveal what was happening inside the reactor cores. They improvised.
All of us who had a car or a company car were asked to get the batteries to try to restore power.
The scavenged batteries allowed vital monitoring instruments in the Reactor 1 control room to work again. Just before midnight, the workers restored power to the pressure gauge. The levels caused panic.
The pressure was going up and up. Everyone thought, isn't this dangerous? Are we in trouble?
The engineers realized the rising heat of the fuel rods in the reactor core was creating massive amounts of radioactive steam and hydrogen. The resulting pressure meant the workers could not get water onto the fuel. Even worse, it meant the containment vessel might explode, a disaster that could leave parts of Japan uninhabitable for decades. TEPCO now knew they had to release radioactive gases into the atmosphere to prevent the reactor from exploding. But to take such a desperate measure, the company needed the permission of the Prime Minister himself.
東電からあるいは現場からですね、圧力が上がったから、ベントが必要だと思う、どうだろうということが上がってきたわけです。
Radiation has long been a sensitive subject in Japan. After the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, tens of thousands died of radiation sickness and cancers. Yet now, Japan's Prime Minister felt he had no choice but to authorize the deliberate release of radioactivity.
全員がいやこれはもうベントをやらざるを得ないとやりましょうということで、じゃあ分かりましたやってくださいとこう言ったわけです。
But there was something TEPCO wasn't telling the Prime Minister. The company had never imagined they might have to vent a reactor without electricity. They didn't know how to do it.
The venting valves are driven by motors. So without electricity, they won't open. It's possible to open them manually, but really difficult.
In the darkness of the Reactor 1 control room, the workers pored over blueprints to try to work out how to open the vents. The handwritten plant logs show that radiation levels were now rising.
To see those kinds of numbers would normally be unthinkable. And this isn't inside the reactor itself, it's in the office. It was a disaster.
The engineers suspected something that the Prime Minister and TEPCO would not acknowledge for months. Nuclear meltdown had begun.
I realized that the fuel had started to melt. We got our masks and put them by our feet, so we could escape at any time.
Back in Tokyo, 6 hours after the order to vent the reactors, there was still no news from the plant. The Prime Minister began to suspect that TEPCO was hiding the truth. He decided to go to Fukushima Daiichi himself. He was later criticized for interfering with the emergency work at the plant, but he says he had to find out what was really going on.
全員がやるべきだと弁当をやるべきだと言いながらなぜ弁当が進まないのか理由が説明できないわけですね。でそれは東電本店が間に入ってるんですから理由が、伝言ゲームで伝わってこないわけです。
At Fukushima Daiichi, the Prime Minister met directly with the TEPCO engineers. He insisted they vent the reactors.
Khan was very angry. The government had given an order. What was TEPCO doing? But we were trying our best. The valves were hard to open. We were genuinely trying. We just hadn't managed it.
The plant manager, Masao Yoshida, was known for being frank. He knew the radiation near the vents was at potentially fatal levels, but he told the Prime Minister he'd send in a suicide squad if necessary.
わかりましたと図面を出してこうやってやりますと言ってました。